Good evening or good morning, wherever you are in the world, my fellow scholars. I decided to do my philosophical model analysis on Thomas Aquinas. Felt as though Thomas Aquinas was the best person for me to do my analysis on because as I was reading through his educational philosophy, I found that he and I share a lot of common interest. He was a man who was interested in uh, the balance between faith and reason, and I feel like as a Christian educator that is important. Uh, I currently have the opportunity to teach at a Christian school where the environment lends itself to faith. But prior to that, I was in a public school. And so I wish I would have known then what I know now on how to create that balance, even in the ideology between faith and reason. Thomas Aquinas was a theologian by his work, but also a philosopher. And he spent his life's work synthesizing the thought processes of the philosopher and the believer. He believed that uh, the philosopher or philosophy in itself was not self contained, but a part of the believer's faith. And the only thing that separates the believer and the philosophy is the believer believes that everything is centered around God and that all things happened or find their place in the universe according to the will of God. And as a Christian educator, I found that to be very enlightening. That he did not disregard the prior teachings of the Greco-Roman Empire, but that he tried to find a way to bring the two together, and he did so. Uh, Down the street from where I used to live in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, to be exact, there was a St. Thomas Aquinas High School. As a matter of fact, it's still there. A very good school, very good program. But that just goes to show that his teachings reached nations, and it's very alive in the Roman Catholic schools, even to this day. That his educational philosophies and his thought and his combination of faith and reason are still very much alive and taught in our schools today. Thomas Aquinas also believed that teaching had a relation as the receiver of such knowledge. And I believe that to be true, that each student or all students have skills that they need to learn, and those skills need to be learned by a teacher, whether it be a schoolhouse teacher or a parent. Some don't necessarily agree with that. Some of his contemporaries, believe more in indirect instruction, and I tend to believe in a combination of both. That students need direct instruction, but also that instruction needs to be scaffolded, and at some point in the learning process, that as teachers we need to let them go and make them uh, accountable for their own learning. Thank you very much. And that is my analysis of St. Thomas Aquinas. That was